quiet hour. Entry granted. The 420 files. People think the strangest thing about the club is the back room, or the scanner, or the second entrance behind the bins. It isn't. The strangest thing is the silence. Because every night at exactly 4:20 a.m., the club stops. Not closes, not slows down. Stops. Like somebody pressed pause on reality itself. And if you've never seen it happen, you'd never believe it. The first time I witnessed it, I thought I'd blacked out. Music blasting 1 second. Bass shaking the walls. People laughing. Lighters flicking. Drinks pouring. Then, nothing, no fade. No warning, just instant silence. Not muffled, not distant, gone. Like sound itself had been removed from the room. I remember looking up immediately. Everyone was frozen. The guy near the booth stood with smoke hanging perfectly still in front of his face. One girl was mid-laugh. Another member stood frozen halfway through standing up. Even the haze in the room stopped moving. The club looked like a photograph, except for me and him, the hooded man in the leather jacket, standing near the back corridor, watching me. I'd seen him before. Everyone had. Nobody knew his name. Nobody knew where he came from. But stories followed him through the club like cigarette smoke. Especially the story about Elias Vale. Months earlier, Elias disappeared. Not went missing. Not left town. Vanished. No goodbye. No phone activity. No records. Just gone. Then one night, exactly one night, he came back. People saw him inside the club, talking, laughing, sitting in the corner booth like nothing had happened. Multiple people spoke to him. Multiple people remembered him being there. But the cameras never captured him entering or leaving. And the only strange thing anyone remembered, Biggie Dag, was the hooded man opening the back room door moments before Elias appeared. By sunrise, Elias was gone again, like the club had borrowed him from somewhere else. Just for one night. Now the hooded man stood there again, during the silence, watching me carefully. Then slowly, he raised one finger to his lips, telling me not to speak. That's when I noticed what he was holding. A silver pouch, small, shiny, almost reflective under the frozen club lights. The label read, Teesscottie, new strain. Never seen before. No grower logo, no THC percentages, no packaging marks, just that name. Teesscottie. The hooded man stepped closer. And the strange thing was, I still couldn't hear footsteps, even though he was moving. Like sound only existed for certain things now. You shouldn't be awake during this part, he said. His voice sounded layered, like multiple versions of him were speaking slightly out of sync. What is this? I whispered. He looked around the frozen room. The quiet hour. Why is everyone frozen? He smiled slightly beneath the hood. They aren't frozen. That answer hit me harder than it should have. Because deep down, I understood what he meant immediately. Frozen wasn't the right word. They were somewhere else. Or maybe something else was here instead. The hooded man placed the Teesscottie pouch onto the counter between us. "Take it," he said. "What does it do?" He stared directly into my eyes. "It lets you remember." Remember what? I wanted to ask. But I already knew. The missing shifts, the disappearing members, the second entrance, the things the system kept removing, the things nobody else remembered after 420. I looked around again. The frozen members suddenly felt wrong. Not because they weren't moving, because they looked aware. Their eyes weren't blank. They looked trapped, like people pretending to be mannequins. Then something twitched. Small movement. A man near the bar. His head jerked slightly to one side. The hooded man noticed immediately. And for the first time, he looked nervous. "That's not supposed to happen," he whispered. Another twitch, then another. One by one, the frozen members began moving in tiny, unnatural jerks, like paused frames forcing themselves forward. A woman's eyes shifted toward us. A man's hand twitched. Someone near the booth slowly turned their head. Every movement looked painful, wrong. Like reality itself was resisting them. Then all at once, every single face turned toward us, smiling. Not normal smiles, too wide, too still. And every single person said the same thing together. "You shouldn't be awake." The entire club vibrated. Lights flickered violently overhead. CCTV screens exploded into static. And suddenly the timestamp above the bar began glitching. 420, 420, 420, 420, repeating over and over. Like time itself was stuck, trying to move forward. The hooded man grabbed my arm hard. "Don't let them see you moving." "What happens if they do?" He didn't answer, because they already had. Every frozen person in the club began standing simultaneously, perfectly synchronized. No footsteps, no sound, just movement. Like puppets pulled upward by invisible strings. The room suddenly felt colder. And that's when I realized something terrifying. The members weren't looking at me. They were looking at the silver pouch. Teesscottie. The hooded man noticed too. His grip tightened. "They remember the strain," he whispered. "What does that mean?" He looked genuinely afraid now. It wasn't supposed to survive. That sentence made no sense. Then the CCTV screens changed. No more static. Now they showed different versions of the club. Different nights, different people. And in every single feed, the quiet hour was happening. Over and over and over. Like the club had been trapped inside this moment for years. One screen showed Elias Vale, sitting alone at the corner booth. Another showed the bathroom door slowly opening by itself. Another showed someone who looked exactly like me, standing motionless in the middle of the room, watching. The hooded man followed my eyes to the screens, then quietly said, "The system only pauses people it can still use." My stomach dropped. What happens to the others? He looked at the frozen crowd surrounding us, then toward the back room corridor. They stay awake forever. At that moment, the music suddenly returned. Bass shaking the walls again. People laughing, talking, moving. Everything normal. Every frozen member was back exactly where they started. Nobody reacted. Nobody noticed anything strange. Like the last several minutes had never happened. Except for me. And the hooded man was gone. Only the silver pouch remained on the counter. I opened it later that night. Inside wasn't weed, just ash. And folded inside the pouch, a handwritten note. 3 words. Stay awake longer. Now every night, I watch the clock, waiting for 4:20. Because sometimes, during the silence, I still see the hooded man standing near the back corridor, watching the room carefully, watching the members, watching me, and sometimes, just before the quiet hour ends, I see Elias Vale sitting in the corner booth again, smiling slightly, like he never left. So if you ever find yourself somewhere and suddenly the world goes silent and everyone around you stops moving, don't panic, don't speak, and whatever you do, don't let them realize you're still awake. Because during the quiet hour, the system checks who remembers. And once it notices you, you never fully go back to sleep again. Entry granted. The 420 files.